Hello and welcome to another episode of Mastering Adam, Becoming the Best Adam for Your Eve. I'm excited you guys are with us. This is our 18th series, or 18th episode in the series. We're going to 20. And the last episode, episode number 20, my wife is going to be joining me. So that's going to be interesting to have her with us on the show. Today I have a awesome guest host with me. His name is Dr. Jamal Bowen, and I'll be introducing you to him in just a second, or him to you in just a second. But first of all, I want to shout out to our sponsors, which I am Love Builders. And we just wrote a book back in August. It was released called Divorce Proofing Your Marriage. So that book is out there on Amazon. And we hit the hot new release list for a quick second. And then how those things go, you kind of go up and down on that list. But our newest venture is something that we're doing is MVP call. It's a most valuable partner call. We're going to start these up in January. We're going to have a free call before that called the MVP huddle. So it's going to be 15 minutes of solid training on relationships. And then we'll move into the MVP call itself. So check that out. You can go to our website, IamLoveBuilders.com, get more information on that. All right. So, Dr. Jamal Bowen, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome. So Jamal is the founder and empowering community entrepreneurs and part of the Spark U leadership team. You can get more information about him and what they're doing at Spark U, which is phenomenal, by the way, at sparku.com. So I'm familiar with Jamal and Dr. Lynn Wilson. Professor Lynn Wilson, excuse me. So they're doing great work in the community. In fact, if we had more brothers like these two, the community would be a lot better shape. So, brother, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is a pleasure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So today's topic is the importance of self-sufficiency in every area of our lives. And I'd venture to say that when after the fall happened, Adam and Eve learned real quick self-sufficiency. Because prior to the fall, life was pretty easy. They had to work, and Adam was working and so forth, tending the animals in the garden and all that. But it was not labor intensive. Matter of fact, sweat was not even in existence according to the Bible. But after the fall, they had to work by the sweat of their brow, and Adam had to till the soil, and there was going to be weeds and thorns and thistles and all this other stuff going on. And Eve had pain and childbirth. So they had to learn real quick how to be self-sufficient outside of the garden. And so that's what this topic is about today. It is about us as society or whatever. How do we manage and really become who God wants us to be in this challenging society? What do you think, brother?
Yeah, I definitely agree. The Adam and Eve story is really the start of humanity, right? But it also shows us when obstacles come our way, when challenges come our way, and how do we respond to that? And so I really wanted to touch on being truly loved and being self-sufficient often clash. To be genuinely loved involves acceptance with our vulnerabilities and failures, embracing our true selves. Conversely, self-sufficiency demands masking these weaknesses, engaging in performance, and validation-seeking behaviors, right? And then as we look into Genesis 3:5, it said, "For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be open, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil."
Right.
And so it gave us a choice, right? We realized that when we ate from the tree or ate from the fruit, we were able to see good from evil, right? We became God-like in a sense. But the tree introduced Adam and Eve to self-reflection, right? Eating its fruit didn't give them the ability to experience things they already did that, right? But it made them aware of the experiences. It enabled them to recognize themselves as the ones having those experiences, encouraging reflection on their own thoughts, feelings, and sensations. And another clear outcome of the fall involves blame. As we know, there was blame, right? We started to blame one
Yes.
another. After Adam and Eve played a part in what transpired, they recognized the presence of guilt within themselves. While we all experience the universal reality of guilt, some try to evade it by attributing to solely to others, right? I'm blaming you, Casper. This was your fault. No, you ate it, but I ate it too, but I still want to blame you. Right? And that's kind of what society is now today, right? We're always trying to find someone to blame or use as a fault, right? But as we look at this, a behavior commonly referred to as blame shifting to avoid the shame, right? Once we ate that apple, our eyes opened, but also the shame came, right? But we can't blame Eve, we can't blame Adam, right? They both participated at the end of the day, right? But even through that, they also stayed together, right? And I think that's what the power of the relationship, even though, and it shows it today, right? We have arguments, frustrations with one another. It's your fault. No, it's your fault. But we also understand that we have a God that's forgiving, right? Even though we made a mistake, God continued to love us, right? He continued for Adam and Eve to be fruitful and multiply and create generations to come. If God was done with us, he would have just ended it there with them, right? As a father, as a parent, you're going to get frustrated with your children, right? And so that's where grace comes from. That's where forgiveness comes from, and so on. And so that's kind of what I was looking at in that aspect of that. You know, they were blaming each other, but also it took some self-reflection, right? They started to realize different things and their eyes were open. Like you said, they realized they were naked. They may not have been physically naked, but they might have been naked in the spirit as well. Right. And so those are the type of things to look at.
Yeah. You know, we've done together stuff. We've done some workshops in the community and stuff and talked to a lot of youth in the community. And it's interesting to see some of them with their, you know, they're kind of locked in this, I'm not even sure what to call it, because they don't believe that they have what it takes to do anything, right? They don't believe they have the intelligence. They don't believe they have the knowledge, whatever it is. You know, they just don't believe it. And we come in and we say, no, you're missing it. You guys are awesome. You guys have the ability to do whatever you want to do. You just have to decide what that is. You need to figure out what your purpose is so that we can now help you in that endeavor, right? It may be getting a good career and, you know, getting a great education, whatever. It may be that, or it may be getting a good skill or trade or something. We just have to figure out what it is that motivates you. And if it's something that's positive that motivates you, then we want to help you build upon that and turn that into something great. But the youth today, you know, they're kind of lost, right? They're looking for that self. You know, how do I navigate through this? And unfortunately, a lot of the leaders of today aren't really helping in this case. You know, they're leading them down the wrong path. Folks, if you're watching us on Facebook and stuff, we are streaming on Facebook Live, on YouTube, on Twitter, and on LinkedIn. If you have comments for either Jamal or myself, feel free to put them in the comment box. I'm monitoring Facebook, so feel free to do that. Yeah, it's a challenge for today's youth, but you're absolutely right. You know, there's a lot to that encounter, and now we have to figure out how to. Well, actually, as Christians, it's already been figured out for us, right? Jesus came to save us, right? So but we still have to walk in that, right? If we choose not to walk into that, then we're still going to be out in the wilderness stumbling around.
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%, especially dealing with our youth. Us as leaders, we got to hold ourselves accountable, right? We can't just put it all on the youth, but us as leaders, what are we exposing the youth to? What are the conversations that we're having? Like you said, finding your purpose is really big. A big thing I like to do around entrepreneurship with our youth is really think of creating a social impact, right? What is going on in your community and how your business or the work you do can change it, right? But I also challenge the youth not to allow things to just happen in their community. It doesn't matter what leader it is. It doesn't matter if it's the mayor. It doesn't matter if it's the governor, councilwoman, councilman. You challenge that, right? You challenge that. Don't allow them to make decisions for you without you using your voice. And so those are the type of the work I do and our team does, but it's only so many of us, right? We need more. It's so much what Jamal can do. It's so much what the rest of our team can do, but we need everyone to come in and do the same, right? But we're creating leaders. These youth are very innovative, very smart, right? They have a lot of ideas, a lot of untapped talent, and just need someone to really guide them, right? Coach them or mentor them. And so really, and also sometimes just sitting down and just listening. Us as leaders and as adults, we have to sit down and just listen to them and allow them to express themselves, right? I know a lot of us weren't able to do that growing up, but this generation are very open and willing to share. I mean, it may not be as pretty and beautiful as you want it, but they're giving you the truth and giving you their truth. And so that's what we have to do, is really listen to them and then help them plan it out and guide them through it, through those conversations that we have.
Absolutely. You know, self-sufficiency starts with self-awareness and understanding our strengths and our weaknesses, and then hopefully there's somebody around that you can, or an organization or someone that you can plug into as a mentor of sorts. But that person may not be there, right? They may not be in the picture right now. So how does someone who becomes aware that they need to do more, I mean, what's a step? You know, what's the first step? How do they start that process within themselves?
Yeah, I think really with that process within themselves is first, you know, reaching out to someone near them. It could be a family member. It could be a coach. You know, a lot of our youth play sports, different things. So a lot of that can be the first step. And then within that first initial step, then they can say, hey, there's a Jamal out there. There's a Casper out there. Let's connect you to them, right? It's all through that networking and just really being vulnerable to the point like, hey, I need help. Can you help me? And then within that help, resources come. And so a big example for myself, I mean, I played sports, of course, and different things like that, but what really opened my eyes was when we used to have people come in, guest speakers, different individuals from the community, and just telling us about different things that are going on. The Boys and Girls Club is a good example. I was a Boys and Girls Club youth, and they used to bring in so many different people, and that's kind of where the exposure came, and my ideas started to wonder was behind that. And so just within that, you know, whatever programs they're already in, their youth, or even if they just talk to their parents, hey, mom, dad, I need some help. Do you know anyone? Or even if they talk to a teacher, coach, principal, with those first initial steps, someone can lead them to the help they need.
Now, are there still Boys and Girls Clubs out there? Is that still a thing? Or
Yes. So Boys and Girls Club in Montbello is still going on. So yeah, quite a few Boys and Girls Clubs. They usually bring in people. So they usually bring in like financial literacy folks. They bring in folks to talk about building your own business, careers, industries. And so they are using those opportunities to expose the youth to different things and engage them.
Yeah. You know, when I was going to school, high school and grade school and so forth, we had shop class and we had home ec. Right? We had these classes that actually taught us how to cook and how to sew and how to build stuff, you know, wood shop, machine shop, auto shop, these different things, all these trades, if you will. And it's not that you're going to necessarily become an auto mechanic, but it sure would be nice to know how to change a tire. You know, it'd be nice to know how to change your oil in the car and so forth. So, and back then we were literally changing engines. Right? We would have a car in the shop, and we learned how to take the engine out, take it apart, put it back together, put it back in the vehicle. Now, so those are self-sufficiency type activities that I don't think the youth are getting right now. There's an organization out there, I think you're familiar with them, called Master's Apprentice. And they have basically got the shop piece of high school that they do because it's not in high school anymore, at least to my knowledge, it's not in high school anymore. So Master's Apprentice kind of does it. And it's for, I think, 16 to about 24 years of age, mostly young men, but also young women go through this course. And it's about an 8-week course, very intensive, but they also get a stipend. So they get transportation money and stuff to get back and forth to this, to the facility. But what's phenomenal about this program, and I've been to a couple of the graduations, they have job offers, several job offers before they even graduate. They have companies waiting in line to sign, to hire them out of this program. And they're starting out minimum, like scraping the barrel minimum $25 an hour, but most of them are $30 and $40 an hour just starting out. So there are programs out there like that. We got Spark Youth out there as well to help them on the entrepreneurial side, starting businesses and so forth. So there's a lot of ways for youth to engage, but that finding that Spark Youth, finding that Master's Apprentice, sometimes they need help. So we need to get the word spread about these different programs.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that, because when I was coming up in middle school, we had wood shop. We learned how to design, create. And I agree with you on that. I want to say Adams City High School in Commerce City has kind of where they work on cars and different automotive, different things like that. But like I said, I'm big on skills as well, because we understand skills shows that you can do the work, right? Education is great. I'm not knocking education, but what a lot of employers, like you mentioned, are looking for is the skill. It shows us you can do the work. We can depend on you. It'll be done, right? And a big thing I've learned that is a lot of industries or a lot of careers that really don't have time to train you fully. And so when that skill comes in, it's really great for them to be able to put you there. Of course, they train you briefly, but having that skill is what's really needed and what's going to keep you, and that's how you survive.
Yeah. What they're looking for, because they don't mind training you how to be an employee of their company. Absolutely. Like orientation. Right. But they don't want to necessarily have to train you from scratch how to, how to put piping together, right? That's something you should learn in a trade school. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes, trade school, and that's why pre-apprenticeships are very important, right? That's kind of that earn while you learn model. You're on the job learning, but also getting paid for the work you're doing as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think and not to get too political at all, really, but I think our schools have kind of changed their changed what they're teaching the kids. They're not teaching them these things. We're talking about self-sufficiency skills. They're teaching them things that really don't help them once they get out of school, right? So it needs to be really focused on reading, writing, arithmetic. And I had a guest on a couple weeks ago, and he has a math tutoring program, and he was talking about algebra. Now, algebra was not one of my favorite things in school because it was confusing to me. Now, you as a doctor, professor, whatever, you probably have no problem with algebra, but us common folk.
I struggle as well.
But when he explained the importance of algebra, I said, wow, I need to go back and learn some algebra now, because he was saying, look, algebra sets you up for problem solving skills in the real world. It teaches you how to look at a situation. You got A over here, and you got B over here, and you got C coming in. How does this all come together, and how does this turn into something that you can use? And I was like, I never looked at algebra like that as to help me build my problem solving intellect, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, no, I think that would be great. I wish I had that, a teacher who kind of do it from that point of view, and how we could see the world through that,
Yeah.
Not knocking the teachers I had, but I think just the way he's doing it is beautiful, because it's showing them more than just being stressed over doing math, but how math can create so many opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, because the question he was getting from students and parents and everybody else is like, am I really going to be using this when when I graduate? Am I going to be using algebra? Well, no, you're not going to be using algebra per se, but you are going to be using problem solving skills on a daily basis, right?
Right.
And if you learn algebra, that'll give you the foundation for that. I mean, at the end of it, I was like, man, I'm excited about algebra now. Like I was never excited about algebra when I was in school, but now I'm like, no, you need to learn it. You need to really study it because it's going to help you, when you're out.
Right. Absolutely.
So, as we kind of wrap things up, what would be some key takeaways from the story of Adam and Eve that you would think that would help them when it comes to self-sufficiency? What do you think we learn from that whole encounter?
Yeah. I want to say that God entrusted us as stewards over the entire creation, right? Adam and Eve. But also, it was meaningful and worshipful work that He was giving us. Each of us have a purpose on earth and have received a divine calling. So we all have a calling on our lives, right? We're all being called to do so many things, like you said, community, helping the next generation, educating the next generation. Because at the end of the day, we know that, part of what we owe is that we will not be on this earth forever, right? But what's unique about it is that our spirit lives forever, but also the work that we have done, right? And our ideas. So Adam has been gone for a very long time, but he's still relevant in this day and age, right? We still refer back to him and Eve, right? We still talk about them. And so within that, that's what's been able to change a generation, right? Change the world is behind these stories. And so even though this physical body doesn't last forever, we have to understand that the spirit does, right? But also the work that we left behind or we created for others will always live forever. If, for example, we talk about, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, right? Bayard Rustin, all of these, Mahatma Gandhi, right? All of these great leaders, their work is still going on. And these men have been gone for a very long time, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what is really also to think about, that, hey, okay, we're on this earth for a very short time, but we can continue to make a huge impact while we're here, right?
Yeah.
But also not to take anything for granted. I think that's what's really big about that. It's not taking things for granted, but also appreciating things that have happened, right? What's happened in the past has happened, right? What are we doing for the future? How are we honoring God now? How are we honoring our families now and our community is what's big. And I just wanted to add one more thing. We also have a profound responsibility, right? And so this work is under our care, right? But also the accountability to Him is paramount, determined by how we leverage the gifts He gives us. We all have different gifts. We all have different skills. We all have different things. And that's why I'm so big on partnering and collaborating with so many other industries and other nonprofits and organizations, because it's so many what they can bring, right? And also we need to hear different ideas. It can't always be Jamal talking. We're not going to get nothing done. I need to hear Casper. I need to hear Cross Purpose, Colorado Future Tech, all of these different African Leadership Group, Spark U, All That I Am, so on, all of these Kings and Queens, these different organizations, because that's how we get things done.
Yeah. And I wanted to also say, because we're talking about self-sufficiency, I don't want our youth or anyone listening to the podcast to get the impression that we're leaving God out or excluding God. This is all with the foundation of being someone who's plugged in to the source, right? Yeah. So it's not about doing this on our own without God. With God, all things are possible.
Absolutely.
And if you have that foundation, you have a strong place to launch from, right? But if you're confused about who you are and where you come from and where you're going after, if you're confused about all those things, it's going to be hard to really focus in on your purpose if you can't even decide who you are as a human being. So, so this all is based upon the foundation of God in Christ. especially for us as Christians.
Absolutely.
And then you kind of go from there, and then seek the help like we're talking about. Like I said, there's a lot of resources out there. You can reach out to either one of us and a half dozen others who can steer you in the right direction. But you have to be willing to make that step, take that leap. That when we have the hand out to help you, you got to grab our hand. If you don't grab our hand, it's hard for us to help you until you decide that you want that help. It's funny because we do marriage coaching and counseling and stuff like that, and we can't coach someone who doesn't want to be coached. Just can't. We can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped. If a marriage is in trouble and both parties don't want to fix it, it can't be fixed.
Yeah.
Both parties have to be willing and wanting to make a difference, and then we can do some really awesome things. I've seen marriages come back from from infidelity to physical abuse, the whole nine. All these things can be overcome, but both parties have to be willing to step to start working together with God in their lives to make a change.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a big thing is mindset. Mindset plays a pivotal role in overcoming these challenges that cross your path, right?
Mm-hmm.
Really having that, what we like to call it is mental fitness, right? Having that mindset, but also using your downfall or using whatever that's holding you back, use it as a testimony, right? That's why we have testimonies, sharing your story of what you have been able to overcome and different things like that. But mindset is everything, right? You can lose a contract or you can lose an opportunity just based off of not wanting to get up that day or saying, oh, I'm not good enough, right? But just really having those positive affirmations and kind of talking to yourself and prepping yourself like, hey, I can do this, right? I can do it. And we know mindset is a whole different topic, but you also have to have a mindset. For Adam and Eve and Adam, it was all mindset as well, right? Be able to still govern a generations of so many cultures and different people and so on. Because they could have gave up then, right? They could have said, oh, God doesn't love us anymore. He's angry with us. Why are we still doing this? But they continue to work, right? Continue to get over that adversity, those struggles, those challenges, and to create what we have today.
Yeah, no doubt. So I know your wife and your awesome kids and stuff. Make sure you send them my love.
Yes.
And I was going to ask you a question, but we kind of run out of time on this episode. But time goes fast, my brother. So
yes, it does.
I appreciate you coming on.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you. Yeah. So, folks, you can get our free ebook and take our free love assessment on our website, IamLoveBuilders.com. We really want you to consider becoming an MVP. It's the most valuable partner in your relationship. Now, this is not a competition where you are crushing the other side. This is a competition, a friendly, a friendly competition to where you are working to be the best partner in your relationship, but they are as well. So now it's not just you rising, it's them rising. And see, when you have that going on in your relationship, things are really, really good. And my name is Casper Stock, and you guys have an awesome day. And we will see you on the next episode of Mastering Adam. Bye-bye.